We believe we are masters of the cities we build. Every street, every tunnel, every wire is a testament to our command over the environment. We live in a symphony of our own creation, a constant thrum of electricity, traffic, and human endeavor. But we never stop to ask what might be listening to our song, and what might be feeding on it. Ben was a man who listened to ghosts. Not the supernatural kind, but the ghosts of sound. As an acoustic surveyor, his job was to map the sonic signatures of urban spaces. He could tell you the precise frequency of a building's structural stress, the decibel level of a water leak 3 feet behind concrete. He translated the secret language of the city's bones. His latest contract was mundane, a full sonic survey of the decommissioned B7 subway line, a section of tunnel abandoned for 50 years, now slated for revitalization. It was a simple job. Map the ambient noise, identify any structural weaknesses, collect his check. On the 3rd day of the survey, his equipment picked up an anomaly. It was a hum. Incredibly low, on the very edge of human hearing, a frequency so deep it was felt more than heard. It wasn't the 60-cycle hum of the power grid. It wasn't the rumble of trains on adjacent lines or the whisper of deep groundwater. He ran every diagnostic. The sound had no mechanical or geological source. It was just there. A single, pure, impossibly low note holding steady in the dark. Most would have dismissed it as an equipment glitch. But Ben was an artist of sound. And this sound felt wrong. It felt ancient. Back in his studio, he isolated the frequency. He spent a week cleaning the signal, filtering out the background noise of the city above. When he finally had a pure sample, he ran a waveform analysis. And what he saw on his screen made the hair on his arm stand up. It wasn't a simple wave. It was a pattern. Complex, intricate, and repeating on a cycle that lasted for 17 hours. It was structured. It had the mathematical complexity of a language, or a piece of music played at a glacial pace. His professional curiosity turned into a quiet obsession. He spent his nights digging through digital city archives, cross-referencing old construction blueprints with geological surveys. He found that the B7 line had been a nightmare to build. Decades of reports detailed strange equipment malfunctions, budget overruns, and an unusually high rate of worker turnover, citing severe morale issues. Then he found a map from the 19th century. The tunnel line, he discovered, cut directly through what was once a potter's field, a dumping ground for the city's unnamed dead. And deeper still, colonial-era surveys mark the area with a chillingly simple note: a void. Ground is unquiet. The hum was strongest at the deepest point of the tunnel, precisely where it intersected the old potter's field. That's when Ben had an idea that terrified him. He started pulling public health statistics, census data, and police records from the decades when the B7 line was operational. He mapped the data to the city's districts. And he found it. A statistical anomaly that couldn't be explained. The neighborhoods directly above the B7 line showed a 30% higher incidence of acute paranoia, anxiety disorders, and brief psychotic episodes than the rest of the city. The spikes in the data correlated perfectly with the periods of the tunnel's heaviest use. The hum wasn't just a sound. It was having an effect. He had to see the source. Armed with his most sensitive equipment and a powerful torch, he went back into the abandoned tunnel, traveling far beyond the designated survey area, into the deep, unmapped sections where the air was cold and heavy. He found it in a section of the tunnel that wasn't on any blueprint. The smooth, concrete walls gave way to rough-hewn bedrock. But on one side, the rock was different. It was a dark, porous, almost organic-looking material that seemed to drink the light from his torch. And it was vibrating. He placed his hand on it, and he could feel the deep, slow hum pulsing through his entire body. The horrifying truth fell into place in his mind, a piece of logic as cold and sharp as glass. The city hadn't just been built on this land. It had been built around this thing, an ancient, dormant entity of incomprehensible scale. The city's infrastructure, the tunnels, the power grids, the water mains, the endless vibration of traffic and life. It was all a vast, unintentional circulatory system. And the city's ambient energy, its constant sonic and electrical output, was its food. The hum was the sound of the entity breathing. The waves of madness were a byproduct of its digestion. The city wasn't a monument to humanity. It was a farm. And its entire population was the crop. He stumbled back through the darkness, his mind reeling. What could he do? Who could he tell? Exposing this would cause a panic that would tear the city apart. You couldn't evacuate a metropolis. You couldn't kill a thing that was woven into the very bedrock of a civilization. He knew the new construction project would involve deep drilling, explosives. They would disturb it, wake it up in a way it hadn't been before. Back in his studio, he made his choice. He compiled his core data, the sound file, the historical maps, the health statistics. He wiped the rest. Then he sent the package, anonymously, to a small, underfunded historical preservation society, along with a carefully fabricated essay arguing that the tunnel contained unique, archaeologically significant pre-colonial remains. He knew it wouldn't stop the project, but with any luck, it would tie it up in bureaucratic red tape and environmental impact studies for years. Decades, maybe. He was buying time he hoped they wouldn't need. Ben quit his job the next day. He moved to a small town in the countryside, hundreds of miles from the nearest major city. He surrounds himself with the quiet sounds of nature. But sometimes, in the dead of night, when the wind dies down and the house falls silent, he takes a glass from the cupboard, places it against the floorboards, and presses his ear to it. He listens. And he prays he doesn't hear that familiar, low hum. He prays it hasn't learned to feed on the quieter places. He prays that the song of our cities has NT taught it to hunger for the rest of the world.